So let's just start with, how would you describe as a sales professional? Okay, like sales professional wise, how would you describe your situation, your current processes, the current method, or the things that you were using before even coming across Paulo, the CBA methodology? What was the situation there?
Yeah, well, I would say like I came from a network marketing background, so it was more of the pushy salesperson, buy my stuff, the classic let me know if you're interested lines,
Okay, okay,
those
okay.
kinds of things, so very salesy. And I would say definitely like more combative as opposed to asking the right questions and leading people to the best decision for them. So
And what,
um
what what was that causing as far as like constraint or main challenges in your calls at that, back then?
I think like that approach, the more salesy approach, wasn't giving me the best results because obviously people don't want to be sold to that way. And at the end of the day, I think it was more I was coming off more like I need the sale as opposed to like this is a person that I want to help. And even though I did want to help them, the way it came off wasn't that way.
And how did you feel in those moments? Like, what was the feeling you going after the call and you having to do that like for 5, 6 hours, or, like,
Yeah. I would say it was definitely frustrating because I felt like I wasn't improving as a closer and therefore I wasn't also hitting my goals. And then I felt like in a way I was also letting down the client or possible client in that way too, because
yeah.
I was really showing up as the leader that I could have.
Okay. Okay. Got it. So a lot of a lot of resistance triggering in your conversations, a very combative scenarios, a lot of like pushy, needy kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Then you started implementing and working with the CBA method, sort of like the way we do it, going, using behavioral science, going with human behavior, so to say, and coming from a more leadership approach, more utilizing more detachment, more compassion, and leveraging a lot of leadership. I guess, like, what are some of the things, some of the changes you immediately saw that, or anything that was sort of like these things were like I started to see changes here, 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 or I started to feel this or see this immediately after a couple of days or weeks. Like, what would you share the main things that were, oh wow, for you?
Yeah, well, first of all, I think like the CBA method was a lot more in alignment with me and my character as a person.
Okay.
And I always wanted to show up as that leader, but this actually gave me a way to do that with like that framework of knowing like how to get there and how to communicate in a more effective way.
Okay.
So, yeah,
Gotcha.
I think that absolutely helped me, and then I was more so supporting the person and to see if it was the right match and letting them make the decisions, but
Mhm.
also leading at the same time.
Okay. Okay. Love it. And I guess, like, if you look back, I guess at the beginning, especially at the beginning, right when you're sort of like doing this shift in sales process or in communication style, you're adapting to a new framework, a new approach. Is there anything that if you go back, you can think of that was like this really really worked well, or I had a specific situation where this approach, the old approach, was really harming or hurting my numbers, and CBA really helped me just sort of like flip that upside down. Anything that comes to mind that you can think of, or in your process, or the way you were going about your calls?
I think specifically like with the objection handling, learned how to handle objections and how to be more prepared because you know there's going to be an objection coming no matter what, right? So it's like, okay, well, here's the different frameworks on like if they say this, you do this, or how to even pre-handle the objections before you get to that part. I think that that was very helpful for me. Whereas
Okay.
before I didn't have that tool in my tool belt. So
Mhm.
of course the objections came and I hadn't pre-handled anything because I didn't know how before.
Yeah.
So definitely think that really helped me a lot and knowing
Okay.
how to spot it and become more aware so that you can kind of pre-handle it.
Okay, that's great. 100%. We do a lot of, yeah, sorry, objection spotting or objection identification. That's part of the framework, right? Oftentimes is more of a challenge identifying the objection that actually going about solving it, because like people, they don't want to share what's holding them back or what's triggering that uncertainty, right?
Right.
Um so that's definitely something that we work on 100%, and that you're utilizing right now. You know how to identify the objection before even going about solving it. Another thing we're very big on is like, yes, you have to know how to handle objections. Is part of the game, and that's actually where when you bring your value. You know, if there's no objections at that point, it's almost like order taking, so to say. But also, we're very big on objection prevention as well, right? And being able to see the objections, feather, brick, and track before they sort of like smash you in the face, and sort of
Yeah.
like handle that. That's great. I guess, like, you've done and you can do, because you've done end-to-end sales. Like you've been a triager, you're a closer right now. You've done, from your network marketing background, prospecting and those kind of things. So it's sort of like familiar to you,
Mhm.
I guess. Besides the sort of like the closing call, the call where in which we just go about the transaction and we enroll the client. Before that, anything that you would like to share, maybe when you, as a, I don't know, maybe sort of like SDR triaging activities that you were doing, that now because you have CBA has improved your ability to sort of like set meetings in a better way? Anything that comes to mind?
Yeah, like, do you mean in regards to like pipelining and how to like
No, more
book?
more sort of like when you were doing triaging, for example. Okay, we,
Mhm.
we were also working at that time, and I remember, for example, that we had an issue with the show up rate for the strategy sessions. So
Mhm.
you were doing all these triages and all this filtering, and you were booking a lot of strategy sessions for another closer.
Yeah.
But there was like this issue in the show up rate, and even when they were showing up, they were like, they're not, there was like very skeptical, very defensive, because of how the triage was
Mhm.
driven. So
Yeah.
anything that you would share there that you say, well, it really helped this, it really helped that, or these things really helped me, improve my pre-sales call process, so to say.
Yeah, well, correct me if I'm not understanding this correctly, but let's just say for like making sure that they have a really solid North Star, like
For
having
example,
that North Star, yeah,
yeah.
and really getting underneath that surface level
Mm,
really helped with the show up rate, I think, because you help the person realize what their goals are and what their vision was. And
exactly.
so if you can help pull that out, then they're going to be more inclined to show up to the sales call, because not only now have I built the relationship with them and they don't want to let me down, they also don't want to let themselves down because they have a more clear vision when it came to their North Star.
Exactly.
So,
So being able to get a solid, tangible North Star is also on us, learning the right skill, asking the right questions in the right way,
yeah.
as opposed to just, uh being okay with a vague answer, so to say.
Yeah. And I think that that's something that really did improve not only the show up rate, but also the emotional connection that you have with the potential client.
Yeah, because
So,
you've helped them realize that.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Also, I think we work on some points. I believe one of the two of those biggest points was, number one, the financial qualifier at that point when we were doing the
Mhm.
financial qualifying, and
Yeah.
also the transition towards booking them for a call. We changed those things, and that
Yeah.
really helped us improve the show up rate and the way they were showing up in the call. Do you remember that?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah. So,
definitely.
so what would you say was wrong in the financial qualifier, and what did we do to change that?
I think the way that the wording was for the financial qualifier, I mean, in the beginning, before you helped change it, it was more like people were getting intimidated about, like, I have to buy this, I have to make this decision. So then they're like, well, I'm not going to go to that call. Whereas when we use more of that vague, if it fits, if this is the right vehicle for you, when you
Like
use,
detachment from us.
Yeah, detachment from
Yeah.
us
Yeah.
completely diffuses the situation and
Mhm.
then really gives them the ability to be like, okay, well, I can go into the next call without it being pressurized and just seeing if it's something that's a good fit for me overall and not being like, oh, if I go to that strategy session, I need to make a decision and they're going to sell me.
100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. All right, all right. That's amazing. Okay, cool. So I guess like for you personally, you've already shared some things that, CBA has helped you. Sort of like, is there anything else that you would share either at a more specific detail level or anything else that comes to mind besides, what you already mentioned?
I think honestly, just working with you overall, you're a great mentor, you're a great leader. You've
Mm.
really helped me take my sales and leadership to the next level.
Mhm.
And I think that there was something in me before that was like, I was worried about not being perfect right away. And I think something that really helped me was when you said, as long as you're getting 1% better every day, reviewing your calls, and like if you make a mistake, it's okay as long as you learn from it.
Mhm.
That really helped me not be so hard on myself and then still really be like, okay, obviously I can improve, but I'm still showing up as a leader 1% better each day. And so just like having you as a mentor and the guidance has, I feel like I've like 10x'd even just the last couple months working with you. And I know I still have a lot to do, but I'm really grateful for your mentorship.
You're doing really great. You're doing really great. I guess like what do you feel that or what kind of impact do you feel, this approach, CBA, and sort of like this trajectory of working together has had, in your performance as a sales professional? Like, do you have any thoughts on that?
I honestly think that it's changed everything for me. Like, to be honest, I feel like I went from that pushy salesperson who was more like, I don't know exactly what I'm doing and I'm kind of desperate to get a sale to more of I have the framework, I have the structure. I'm not coming from a place of I want to sell people. I'm coming from a place of can I help this person even if they don't end up buying? At the end of the day, I'm going to give them a 10 out of 10 and know that the conversation they had with me can impact their life and help them even if they don't move forward with the offer.
Got it. And obviously, like that is great, 100%. And it really, brings clarity on, the potential of this approach.
Mhm.
So thanks so much for sharing. Now, a question that everybody wants to know also is like what kind of results you've gotten so far because of utilizing these. I guess, are you comfortable with sharing, I don't know, maybe some numbers recently as far as commission wise, and not only what you've done, but what is the potential that you see yourself being able to do over the next 2 3 4 months, because that's also important, right? Because that if you're confident and if you have something, a tool, sort of like puts you in a situation where you know that with these tools you can achieve more things. That's also, I believe, is super helpful. So yeah, recent results, and what do you see in the future?
Yeah, like I would say my results have only increased over the last couple of months of using the CBA method. So like this last month was my highest commission that I've ever made so far as a closer. And I know I'm still
Okay,
fairly new, but I ended the month at 5,370
there you
US
go. Let's
dollars.
go. Let's
And
go.
so I'm projecting this month, my goal is around 8K, and I definitely can see myself getting to that 10K plus a month. By the end of the year, ideally, I'd like to be at 20K as a closer a
A
month.
100%. It's just sort of like a process of it's just a process. You just keep building, keep refining your skills, and as you get better, the commissions and the income is a byproduct of that.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
you're able to help people when others can't,
Yeah.
because they don't have the right tools. They're not coming from the right place. So 100%. Thank you so much for sharing. I guess like the last question is it's sort of like a two pack question is like if someone was watching this and they were sort of like not knowing whether to invest in a mentor, regardless of whether they are in sales already, but they're having a lot of objections, things are not working, or they're looking to get into something related with communication, and they don't know like if CBA would work for them, or if working with us would be something that would make sense. I guess, would you recommend it? Would you recommend this experience to someone? That's number one. And number two, just why? Why would you do that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, 100% I would recommend this CBA method to anybody. And when it comes from a mentor point of view, mentorship shortens time, right? So like you want to find somebody has the success that you want, and then essentially you want to copy what they're doing so that you can get to that next level. So I 100% believe in mentorship. I've always been one to invest in myself. And I think for people who are getting all those objections and things like that, this has literally 180 changed my whole life in regards to being a closer. And I believe that even if someone's unsure if this is something that they want to get into, you can never go wrong with this skill. So at the end of the
Right.
day, I would just say absolutely do it.
Okay. And
100%.
what would you say to those that they're already considering and they're just hesitant for whatever reason? You actually you're a closer, so you want in these calls for another product, another program and whatnot. But if someone's just sort of like, hesitant and they already have that yes, sort of like I'm ready to commit to a change, but I'm not sure. Like what would you be like, could you share some words for that person watching? What would you say to them if you were to say
Yeah.
anything?
I would just say, you know what? I know it's a little bit nerve-wracking when you're going into a new experience, into a new program, and maybe investing in yourself. It could be money that you haven't spent before, but at the end of the day, it's just about taking that first step and really growing and improving as an individual, and you won't regret it. It's honestly investing in yourself. You can never go wrong when it comes
Yeah.
to that. So absolutely 100%.
I agree. I agree totally. There's like this thing that we always get whenever we sort of like get to the edge of our comfort zone, which is all these is sort of like a wave of uncertainty and fear, or sort of like not knowing what to do. But that happens at every level. Every
Yeah.
single level, doesn't matter what, how much experience you've had in the past. Every time you're sort of like at that edge, that's always gonna come in. And it's just part of the process. One of the things that we do and we help people with is embracing discomfort,
Yeah.
and sort of like reframing discomfort as a healthy thing. Because if you
Mhm.
just put yourself in uncomfortable situations constantly, what does that mean?
That means you're growing.
There you go.
And,
Exactly.
like,
So
I always remember that quote, "Feel the fear and do it anyway." And so, like, every time that you're feeling the fear, it's because you're coming from a place of, "I've never been there before," so your old self is trying to hold you back, but fear is actually an indicator that we're getting ready to level up, so you just have to take that next step.
yeah, and that's a good point because people that are successful is not that they don't feel the fear. They feel it the exact same way we do it, right? But it's how do they reframe it and what do they do about it? So
Exactly.
yeah, I'm 100% with you. Thank you so much for sharing, for just coming on. That was super great. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Awesome, well, thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. All right.